the governor of the central bank came to my office, I think about 2 weeks ago, to show us the new dollars. We're using the national heroes, both George Price and Philip Wilson. They are the ones that are going to be on the face.
When Prime Minister John Briceño announced on September 17th that our new currency notes will feature national heroes George Price and Philip Golson instead of the late Queen Elizabeth, reactions were all over the place. Some people were thrilled about the change, while others had their reservations. The new notes will be hitting our wallets in the coming months, and it's clear that this decision has sparked quite a bit of conversation.
I don't think George Price nor Philip Golson business for no money. By the end of the day, they're not just some heroes or do certain things to Belize, but by the end of the day, the Queen and the person who actually make this money stay at the top.
The Queen been on this money for a long time, so people are used to seeing that. If they see Philip Golson face and George Price face on it, they're going to think it's a counterfeit money.
I don't think it will make any difference with the value of the money. Okay, I don't see any reason why it should make a difference. Because our money is only good in Belize anyhow. You can't take it anywhere else, even with the Queen's face on it.
Someday you have to change. All the next country, when they get after a while, they get their own, they own the prime minister or whoever put on the paper money. So I don't see it as no devaluation.
If you really think about it, if the money do put on somebody else's face, remember we don't have Guatemala who want to take over Belize. So I think Guatemala more want to step in now because they have said that we know they are not the British colony again.
I think if we take the Queen's or the King's head off our money, I think we will suffer. For some reason, I don't know.
You think the money will be worth less?
Less, yes, I think so.
While there are Belizeans who have that concern that removing the late monarch's face from the Belize dollar and replacing it with those of Belizean heroes will have a negative impact on the value of the Belize dollar, one economist we spoke with assures that is not the case. Rumil Arana says the value of the Belize currency has more to do with economics than what is printed on it.
When we're talking about our Belizean currency, having the Queen's face on it, having the King's face on it, having my face on it, won't give it any value. What gives it value is the laws and the regulations of our country. It doesn't matter whose face is on the dollar.
The legislation to place the Queen's face on Belize's currency dates back to the early 1900s, when Belize was a British colony.
When the first banknotes were provided, that was in the early 1900s, I believe, the monarchs were placed on the dollar bills. Now, if you look at the Central Bank of Belize, they have a history of our currency. We've had bills where there's a young Queen Elizabeth on there, and now we had bills where there was an older Queen Elizabeth on there.
While Belize is a former British colony, our currency is pegged to the US dollar at a rate of 2 Belize dollars to 1 US dollar.
The exchange rate is what you would pay for another currency, like in terms of Belize dollars. Like we would say, it costs 2 Belizean dollars to get 1 US. That right there is our currency pegged. We have been pegged to the US dollar since about 1976. And that has not changed throughout history, no matter what has happened in the economy.
What would trigger devaluation of the Belize dollar? Arana explains that devaluation is a decision that governments take based on economic fundamentals.
When a country devalues its currency, it's because it's looking to boost its exports. Because when you devalue your currency, your currency becomes cheaper for foreigners. So now if Belize devalues its currency to say like 3 to 1, not saying this is going to happen, but if Belize devalues its currency from 3 to 1, that means that the goods and services from Belize are cheaper to people in the United States. So people do that for export purposes. If you stay at your fixed rate exchange regime, the only thing that you have to do for Belize, the only thing that we have to do is to maintain a certain level of foreign exchange within our economy.
Arana believes that featuring the faces of Philip Golson and George Price on Belize's currency would be a fantastic way to honor these two national heroes. The families of both men are thrilled at the idea of seeing their loved ones celebrated in this way. Alice Craig recently shared how much she treasured the moments spent with her uncle, George Price, especially since the family often had to share him with the entire country.
I can recall seeing so many pictures of my aunts and my uncles, but minus Uncle George. You know, I would see Mom and Dad, I would see Aunt Jo and Uncle Polly, I would see Aunt Jane and Uncle Henry, I would see Aunt Betsy and Uncle Gilly, you know, in the pictures. John Price was in then sometimes. Uncle Sam left from early, so he wasn't around much. But Uncle George was never there because he was doing the business of the country. Those of my cousins who were born in that time were lucky enough to travel with him when he moved around the country. He would take turns calling on us to go, and I went with him twice.
Philip Golson's son, also named Philip, was appreciative of the decision made.
It's a good thing for Belize to have its notable people represented all aspects of life. And the currency is a major part of that. And having or starting with our Belizean heroes is a good starting point for this. I believe my father would have also been felt positive about it. He might not have been eager to have his face on it, but he would have been positive about doing something like this. Without that group that began this process of changing and demanding change and suffering for it, we might not be where we are today, might be much further back in our development.
The new red and blue currency notes are set to hit the streets in just a few weeks. While Britons sing "God Save the King," Belizeans will soon be saving money that proudly features the faces of those who stood up against the monarchy. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.